there, Tundra Nation. Here's a bold statement up top. All three-letter government agencies were birthed from Satan's butthole and represent a bigger threat to constitutional liberty than Gavin Newsom unilaterally proclaiming himself king of the world.
I'm the king of the world!
Your tax dollars funding organizations that only exist to infringe upon your freedoms is sort of the exact opposite of what this country was founded on. But the only three-letter agency that particularly rustles our jimmies, and by rustles I mean murders, and by jimmies I mean dogs, is the ATF. Frankly put, the ATF is more useless than Anne Frank's drum kit. So why are we still funding this bureaucratic catastrophe? Here, my friends, are the best reasons to abolish the ATF, as if we needed them.
Le who? The her.
First reason is, well, they kill people too dang much. Our definition of too much, by the way, is any number higher than 0. We probably don't need to remind you of a little thing called Ruby Ridge or Waco, but do a little googly-doo if you ever want to lose sleep learning about what the US government is capable of perpetrating against its own citizens. Suffice it to say, the ATF has destroyed more women and children than Anakin Skywalker off of his meds. And I don't want to say they're a little too trigger-happy with the flamethrower, but they're responsible for more flame wars than 4chan. Here at Tundra Tactical, our definition of roast, it's a little bit more like maybe the Friars Club. At the ATF, their definition of roast looks more like what happens to a meth lab with propane space heaters. How can these feds even pretend that they're on our side when we've all seen pictures of them standing over the charred remains of innocent citizens? That'd be like Cruella de Vil becoming the next executive director of the ASPCA. Oh yeah, and then there's the whole coming to your house and killing you thing. For an organization that supposedly wants to curb gun violence, the ATF is responsible for an awful lot of, how do I say this with tact? Gun violence. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
You can't even make the case that this was something the ATF used to do back in the day, but not anymore. I mean, they just offed somebody last week while serving a warrant. Granted, he was allegedly selling firearms without an FFL, but needing a permission slip from daddy government to transact firearms would make James Madison roll over in his grave like a chicken on a rotisserie spit. The only thing more American than firearms are open and free markets, so why should that even be illegal? Firearms and capitalism go together like boobs and wet t-shirts. I mean, come on.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Oh, and did I mention instead of arresting the guy at a reasonable hour, they kicked down his door at 6 a.m.? Reports say he initiated the gunfire, but if somebody bursts into your house before sunrise, you'd be sending more lead downrange than a Chinese toy factory. This is not a man who deserved to die, especially at the hands of an overzealous jackbooted shock troop. I haven't even begun talking about no-knocks or dead puppies yet, by the way. If you can't find the compassion in your cold, hardened heart for all the humans they've sent to early graves, surely the ATF killing more dogs than a PETA shelter should prove my point. This agency is more evil than Joffrey in a bad mood.
Traitors! Of all their heads!
Hey, if you want something that will actually run and was made to standards, then you should check out CMMG and their new Mark 47 Descent, available in 16-inch and now 12.5-inch variants. Combined with these zeroed muzzle devices that come as standard, this is truly the next step in innovation for the fans of the 7.62x39 cartridge. If that's not your style, CMMG has something for everybody, from your standard ARs to 22 conversion kits and heck, even the 5.7 Banshee. CMMG has all your needs for quality guns to fit any role. So go click the link in the description below and get yourself an upgrade today. Oh yeah, don't forget to tell them Tundra sent you. The next reason to abolish the ATF is they cost tax dollars, and taxation, my friends, is theft. Taxation is like your office Christmas party. It's mandatory, pointless, and an abomination to decency. Forcing somebody to fork over their money against their will is known as robbery. But then using that money to deprive them of their inalienable rights, well, that's more sadistic than Saw movie torture riddles. To keep supporting these plutocrats with our pay would make us self-loathing masochists, kind of like somebody who buys a BMW with an upgraded trim level, or even worse, HK fanboys. No thank you, sir. I'm an American. I like my coffee black and my tea at the bottom of the dang harbor. Seriously, the founders went full tree of liberty over a 3% tea tax, and we're letting an elite class of nerd dictators pull money from our paychecks to fund erosions of our autonomy? That doesn't sound cool. That's gonna be a hard pass for me, bud. My credo is self-ownership, minimal to no government, and setting off small controlled explosions in my yard on any holiday that falls during short season. There's no room in my budget for paying federal bureaucrats to compromise my rights. Heck, after getting that binary trigger, I can barely afford my monthly 9mm bill. I could go into a tangent about property rights and the philosophical basis of libertarian economy theory, all while recommending great thinkers, but hey, this is Tundra, so we're gonna keep it nice and simple and to the point. I'm keeping my money, I'm keeping my rights, and if I lived in Texas, well, I'd be voting for Brandon Herrera. Reason to abolish the ATF numero trace, their social media engagement psyop, sucks. Now, maybe I should count this as a net positive because seeing the AFD turned into a living embodiment of the Steve Buscemi fellow kids meme, only to get completely devastated by FBC's Twitter account, is endlessly hilarious and has given me a lifetime's worth of free entertainment. Great job, FPC. You guys are doing the Lord's work. But funny as it may be, it's not working, and innocent people are suffering non-survivable levels of cringe. I have got to quote this tweet soliciting applications from recent grads and college seniors verbatim because you would not believe it's real otherwise. Here we go. Fam, don't sleep on this lit opportunity to become an ATF special agent. The job is fire. Perfer, get on it. This, folks, actually happened. I cannot express with words the level of cringe contained in this single short message. This is like some new kind of cringe that hasn't even been discovered by science yet. If it were an element, it would be cringium and require containment in a laboratory for fear that the cringe would emanate outward and contaminate the groundwater. You know what? Actually, I think this ATF office might have an English to Zoomer AI chatbot. Let's check it out, shall we?
Please, no more!
No cap, fam. Anti-constitutional tyranny is bussin'. Fed boys have Riz and shooting dogs slaps. The two-way, well, that's sus and Delulu. Go on and slay, kings. Guys, this has got to end for the sake of our sanity. I don't even want to meet the 22-year-old that's enticed by this dubious opportunity. Face it, working for a morally bankrupt, soulless federal directorate is an opportunity in the same way that a sentence in a labor camp is a vacation. Making people believe that working for the ATF is a desirable way of life would be harder to sell to people than Lizzo's diet and exercise plan. But I think the real reason the ATF interacting with people on social media is so nasty is because you can't enter the world of memes without our permission. Memes, well, that's our turf, and by our, I mean the 2A community. We trust memes more than we trust the news because, well, memes are literally more honest and accurate. And memes are fun, by the way. The ATF coming to the world of social media is kind of like your 72-year-old church pastor streaming Call of Duty on Twitch. You can't be doing this. You don't belong here, bud. The ATF is an organization that only exists to eliminate fun from the world, and them trying to bro out is the most disingenuous thing that I've ever seen. The ATF are not my homies. All my homies hate infringement.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
The fourth reason to abolish the ATF is nobody can understand their stupid freaking rules. First, no agency filled with unelected officials should have the authority to create legally binding, criminally punishable rules in the first place. Did I elect you? No. Are you my legislator? No. Then sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up.
What did he say?
Not only should there never be an organization that creates rules that carry the weight of law, any organization that does deserves to be BTFO'd faster than a junior varsity wide receiver playing in the Super Bowl. Secondly, the rules the ATF creates are more confusing than Japanese algebra. They're doing it on purpose, folks, because if the rules were that easy to understand and communicated effectively, you'd at least be able to understand the rules and their job, which, as we've explained before, is to kick down your door at 6 a.m. and murder you, well, their job would be eliminated. In the same way, people who profit off the prison system always want more mandatory sentencing, the ATF want you to screw up and forget whether your AR with a brace without a foregrip that does have a suppressor on the third Wednesday of the month of May in the state of Kentucky while you're wearing a green shirt and a 30-round magazine is legal, or such an egregious offense you have to be locked away from civilization permanently. Not only are the rules on purpose incomprehensible, they don't even tell anybody. Heck, if it weren't for the folks like Guns and Gadgets, Coleon Noir, and Mr. Guns and Gear warning me what's up, I'd be accidentally buying pistol suppressors out of vending machines like they were Mentos. The ATF releases new arbitrary rulings under the cover of darkness at like 2 a.m. on a Thursday by carrier pigeon and smoke signal, and then we're expected to all know what the heck is going on and how to comply. Your supposed recourse is to enter a statement to challenge the ruling, but on the government website that nobody has the link to, where the interface looks like a 1994 GeoCities page. Once word does hit YouTube, there is so much confusion about what to do next, how to do it, and when it needs to be done, we all have to just shrug our shoulders and just be like, well, I guess prison's for me, I guess. Or that other alternative that YouTube won't let me talk about. Meanwhile, the 2A organizations that actually accomplish something, meaning not you NRA, go to work fighting the ruling, and we enter into a state of limbo where the new rule is in effect. Or maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't, but for like the next 2 years, it could potentially be. Look, everybody, it's Schrodinger's pistol brace ban. In a state of quantum uncertainty, it both exists and doesn't exist until you just give up and burn every firearm that you own to avoid non-consensual federal shower sex.
That's rad.
Oh yeah, and good luck explaining it to the local RSO FUD, who doesn't even understand what a red dot is, but now needs a degree in constitutional law with a working knowledge of Supreme Court precedent just to be sure whether or not he should call the police or if you're cool. I mean, Jesus Christ, what a freaking mess. Reason number 5 to abolish the ATF is they are tyrannical and infringe upon the Constitution.
Hell yeah.
We are saving the best for last here, folks, and if you thought I was gonna make it all the way through this whole video without a rousing cry of shall not be infringed, well then guess again, loser. This objection to the ATF is about principle, something authoritarians don't understand because they only speak the language of power, which incidentally is even more horrible sounding than Hungarian. Sorry to all my viewers in Hungary. To them, might makes right, but to the founding fathers, well, liberty was kind of essential. It's kind of like remembering to never buy Pro Mags. Short-barreled rifles, silencers, full autos, it doesn't matter, folks. The principle is that every person is born with the right to choose for themselves, and that shouldn't change. Oh, and if the bad gun du jour is a military weapon, well, the founders would be even more in favor of it because they wanted the power of the government to be drastically dwarfed by the power of the individual. See, folks, that was simpler than an episode of Sesame Street played at half speed. Your right shall not be infringed. It's why the text of the Second Amendment is shorter than a bad American Idol audition. There's just nothing to argue, so where does that leave the ATF? Relegated to the dumpster of history, I hope. The ATF are a picture-perfect representation of everything the founding fathers fought against: rule by oligarch, taxation without representation, and the diminishing of individual liberty. Taking a stand is crucial. You gotta hand it to Matt Gaetz. He introduced a bill to abolish the ATF, but that was about as futile as asking Disney to produce an Indiana Jones movie that doesn't suck. But the effort of getting the phrase abolish the ATF into the discussion, well, that's pretty freaking awesome. Now it's your turn to do your part. Vote for Brandon, and I mean Herrera, not Joe Biden. Speak out on social media. Support GOA, FPC, and NAGR. Heck, you can even like this video and share it around with your friends. Don't support the NRA. Whatever you can do to strengthen the Second Amendment and make the ATF a distant memory. Rant over, folks. If you think we earned it, make sure to subscribe.